Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast and I'm your host Mike in association with Lucky Star Gin as always. I've got a horrible camera angle because I'm wearing my merch but you can't see it. But look at that. That's lovely. That's in my crotch. Anyway, we have today Paul and Gabriel on the panel and we are going to be talking about the FA Cup win against Horsham, and we're going to look forward to hosting Harrogate back in the league, and obviously we will be talking about the FA Cup draw. Engagement, as always, is important. Like, share, retweet, have conversations, do what you like, just put it on the channels. It's wonderful at Sutton Podcast on all the social medias. All those likes, shares, and everything get us in front of more eyes, so it's really, really useful. We're going to jump in because I haven't forward out yet. We're going to say, Paul, it was one of the good defeats that you were on last, I think, with the Wrexham game. How have you been and have you forward out since yesterday?
It was cold out on the curb, wasn't it? It was cold. And I did that thing where you misjudge your clothing. I put the wrong trainers on and my feet were absolutely, I couldn't feel them by the end of it. But I'm good. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, good. Double socking and everything.
Yeah,
Gabriel, we're going to need to have you on whether you're in Bucharest or not, because the last time you were on was the FA Cup first round. Next time it's FA Cup second round.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
We need to get you on.
Maybe I should go to Plymouth as well, because all the FA Cup games of Sutton that I watched were wins. I also watched the one at Hayes.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So Matt might hear this and want you to, and insist on you coming. But how have you been?
Good. It's cold. It's really cold. I suffered the cold also against Crewe on Tuesday, and now I felt that it was very cold, but at least we had the result to warm us up.
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit of club news. Was that the ladies' game earlier? If anyone saw that on social media, it wasn't a great result. It was heavy weather. It was at Carshalton, so it was always going to be bad. And we suffered a 6-0 defeat. I need to watch the highlights back because I maintain at least 3 or 4 of their goals was probably horribly offside. But I may be wrong, but the linesman definitely wasn't keeping up with play, so we'll see. The 50-50, which I take loads of credit for, which I probably shouldn't, but I'm still going to take it. Since I've been banging on about it, the prize money even went over £300 yesterday, which is amazing. So that's brilliant. Keep buying your 50-50s. It really helps. And now they've got an extra machine. They can take more of your money. The coach travel, I think Stockport is the main one they're trying to sell at the moment, and that's £50. So make sure you get that paid up, and obviously it's paid in advance now, which it probably should have been all along, but it's paying in advance now. And then obviously, as we mentioned, the FA Cup draw was made earlier, and we've got Plymouth. So we will be talking about that in a bit. Podcast news. The website's been revamped again because it wasn't quite working. I don't think I'll ever get it absolutely as I want. I'll just keep tweaking it. But do join it. There's a sort of community section which you can have sort of social media aspects, but without sharing the whole rest of your life. So it's worth having a look at. And I'm sure I'm going to mention it a couple times at least. You will get exclusive knowledge on football tactics and players' positions if you're on there. because I post something all about our wonderful new left back. As I said, I will probably mention it at some point, I'm sure. So Fan Hub, I got 11 out of 11. How did you guys get on with your lineups, and what were you expecting? I mean, I was in the bar as Matt was giving his chat. That's probably why I got 11 out of 11. But I definitely didn't see two goalkeepers on the bench. But Paul, how did you how did you get on with your lineup, and what were your thoughts ahead of kickoff?
I mean, I don't do Fan Hub, but if I did, I would have been way off the mark. It reminded me of Sunday League teams trying to work out what their team is 15 minutes before a game in terms of what players have turned up and what players they've got to play with and things like that. It was, I mean, there's makeshift, isn't there? And then there's what we're up to at the moment. But luckily we have players who can multi-skill and play in different positions and actually play very well. So that was great to see. But yeah, it was that was one heck of a lineup, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Gabriel, what were your thoughts at the lineup and ahead of kickoff?
Well, I was certainly surprised to see Buzanis back in the keep, with Arnold performing pretty well in the last games. And I would have expected, if we didn't have a CB valid, to try with Gessan, because he has the height and he has also the speed. Actually, I feel that he with Kizzy, with some proper experience together, might be our best solution, because against Crew, I saw so many passes going behind our defenders and hurting us really bad because of the lack of speed of the other options that we had in defense.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, you kind of made it was a throwaway comment with we're lucky we've got players to play in every position. I'm sure if we had Jason and Matt on, they'd probably say we're not lucky to have these players. We deliberately pick players who can play in multiple positions, because obviously it does seem like we're shuffling the pack quite often. Not even just this season, the previous seasons we've had Omar playing at centre back, centre mid, and all the rest of it. So there's obviously a reason for it. But I read a report earlier. I think it was the Sussex Times or something. I can't remember which one it was. And I remember as we were standing there, everyone was feeling quite nervy in that first half, and we were feeling it. But there was actually an awful lot of chances in that first half that it's probably easier than it felt at the time. Because when you think back, I think there was 2 offside decisions. Kizzy had one headed off the line. There was Dion's free kick. But how did you guys feel in that first half with how we were coping? Was it really as nervy as it felt?
I didn't feel too nervy, to be honest, mate. I thought I was a bit disappointed with Horsham. I expected a lot more from him. I thought it was a freebie hit. They were on a roll. It had a derby feel. They brought a lot of fans. I've seen a bit of Isthmian League football this year, and it's pretty decent quality. And we saw what they did against Barnsley and had a go at them. And I was expecting a lot more of them. I didn't see much in that first half for us to get worried about. They did have a couple of chances, obviously, but I just couldn't really see them scoring. Although for the first half hour, I couldn't see us scoring either, and it did have a bit of a 0-0 whiff about it. But obviously later on, class showed a little bit. But no, I was never really thought we were going to lose that game from what I was seeing on the pitch. And I thought, and I did think we would have the edge around the physicality piece, and I thought Harry Smith would be critical in that space, and I think he won everything in the world. He was pivotal, but we weren't all long ball, were we? I mean, we played some nice stuff as well around him, and I thought I always felt comfortable about the result, to be honest.
Yeah, Gabriel, what did you think? Maybe it was just me feeling nervy. I don't know, but what did you think?
No, it was because you cannot help thinking that if they go ahead by a mistake, by a strike of luck, it will be very hard to come back. They will be all in their area, and it will be hard to score. And we wanted also to avoid a replay because of being so short of players. And even if we win at Horsham, it's still bad because we have so many people that are missing. So I feel that in spite of our really makeshift defense, especially in the second half, but also after 10 minutes with Topi in left back, we conceded very little to them. I don't know if they were disappointing, as Paul said, or if we defended well. Topi did great. You said it. Everybody said it. I feel that Gessen did well, and as I said, he can play there in that position also in the future. The only one that didn't fit and really scared me to see him there was Josh Colley, because in no way he can be a right back against AFL opposition.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned Tope, but obviously I'm going to keep mentioning it because I'm not right very often. But I did kind of put out a thing of, hey, I've solved our left back crisis. Tope's played there years and years ago as a youngster, and never in a million years did I think he'd be playing for Sutton United, and I certainly didn't think it'd be happening. Was it 19 minutes into the game or something like that? But he did well. I thought he did. I mean, he wasn't overly tested. I did fear when we had Amari coming on in the second half, thinking, "Oh God, hang on, this is the winger who doesn't like to get back and help his fullback." But yeah, I thought Tope did really, really well. It did make me think where Will got not stick, but some comments about what he said about, is this tie so important that we could possibly risk another injury? And we had Shomi and Jackson taken off with injuries. So it was like, oh, hang on a minute, we've got through, but at what cost? But yeah, Coley went to fullback. There was points, Paul, you were on the curve with me, that we were quite interested that as soon as he went to fullback, he seemed more confident taking his man on. Did you feel that, or did you hear the comments? I think they're a bit outraged.
No, I thought there was some validity in it. Yeah,
but no, he did okay. It was teams 3 divisions below us, so obviously you can't judge it. But as you mentioned earlier, we kind of wore them down a little bit. It was a professional job, which is probably why we were feeling nervy, because we're not used to doing that. And it was like the 60-odd minute mark where the podcast and Her Game 2 sponsored Dion Pereira burst through to score. How was that goal for you, Gabriel? I'll start with you on that one. How did you see his goal, or goals? I suppose we'll talk about both of them.
A massive relief. It was already 1 hour and a bit past into the game, so we needed that goal really bad. And what I told you, I maybe I didn't fear losing because they didn't create it much, but I certainly fear that we will have a replay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, the goals were well taken. And Paul, you mentioned earlier they weren't lumps upfield. Kind of played a bit of football to get them. How were they from your point of view?
Yeah. I mean, the first goal was the little bit of class that broke the deadlock, really, wasn't it? I mean, Dion, there was the build-up was nice, and it was 3 really nice touches from him. Took it on the stride on that first touch, gave himself the angle on the second. And a little Topo, lovely goal for the first goal. Nice little move for the second. I mean, he had a thwack at it, didn't he? And he went through a couple of legs, and got a little bit lucky on that. But you got to be there, and you got to have a strike, and then the third to finish it off. 3 nice goals.
Very nice. I mean, there was one moment with Josh Coley that we certainly couldn't see from our view because it was hidden by the floodlight. But I don't know if you had a view, Gabriel, of their penalty shout, because they seemed quite angry and they were booing him for a little while afterwards. How did it look to you?
I don't know. You're referring to the moment when he had the fight with Craig Clay?
No, so he had there was clearly something happened and they thought they were going to get a penalty.
I haven't noticed. I don't think it was the case. I don't think it was the case for a penalty, for sure.
Sorry, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of booing around it, wasn't it? I think it was a bit of a desperation on the away fans, to be honest. I haven't seen they were asking for a pen, weren't they? But there wasn't. I haven't seen it on the replays. I've seen a few of the highlights packages, and I haven't seen it on the replay, so I can't tell. And as you say, we were we were at the other end. But not too many protests by the players, but it sounded like more like the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But Omari, he had to come on second half very early. How was his sort of impact for you guys? How I know he scored. That's always a good impact. But Paul, how did he kind of play for you? Was he taking them on enough? Was he doing enough for you?
Yeah, he's got a nice mix of power and I would say he's quick, but he's not slow, is he? And it was a lovely finish. And for the times I've seen him, he always looks as though he could do some damage. I don't know what the story is, the story behind the story in terms of why he's not being picked. So I can't really comment on that. But I love to see him on the pitch. Absolutely. I think when teams need, when you need a little bit of class or need a goal, he does. I'll try him on.
Gabriel, what are your thoughts on how he played yesterday in the situation in general?
We certainly expected him to come up this second half. Maybe not this early, but we certainly expected him because of what he did against Fylde, if you remember, the previous turn in the FA Cup. And I think that with the opposition of lower caliber, his qualities come into light much stronger than in AFL opposition. Though also he had performed offensively in the start of the season when he was in the first 11 against league opponents.
Yeah, no, he's done well attacking, but I mean, it's going to be difficult to argue for him when our upturn has happened as he's been out of the side and Harry's been in the side, and then yesterday Dion did so well with the defensive side as well. So it's going to be a struggle, I guess, for him, but I'm sure we'll see him back. Overall, it was job done. We're into the next round. We took our time, but yeah, despite all the feelings and the nerves and how we were standing and thinking, oh God, this has got banana skin written all over it, it's done. It's out of the way. We're through to the next round. We've kind of covered all the main points that I've picked up from what people are saying. A couple of things is there was an awful lot of Horsham fans. So we know they sold 1,200 tickets. We know they bought lots of tickets in the home end. I mean, we could see that as they went 3-0 down, suddenly evaporating lots of people. And I did see one comment that someone had said that when Horsham played Carshalton, which is obviously only down the road, there was only like 400 or 500 people there in total. It's like, okay, well, how have you managed to rattle up like 1,500 for Sutton and then only 13, sort of a couple hundred for that? I hope their fans stay. I hope a few of them go back and see it, because obviously we know we were in that position not that many years ago. So it would be nice. I mean, did you have any kind of thoughts on the sort of mass exodus at 3-0, Paul?
I have checked their audience in the Isthmian League, and they gathered 1,000 at home. So average attendance at home is 1,000, more or less.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I got it wrong.
I think they had 600 last year, but
yeah, and it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, where's our 13,000 fans that were at Wembley? But
exactly.
I mean, literally, you did see them sneaking out of our home end, so that was quite fun on 3-0. But yeah, it's I think it's a bit harsh to start pointing things, especially at lower league teams in Surrey, Sussex, where often they've got Premier League teams as their first teams, and they'll go when they're. Well, I mean, if Brighton are away, I assume Horsham's numbers go up a bit and things like that. So I think it's. And they're two different experiences, aren't they? Premier League and lower leagues, two very different experiences. And if you like both, I've got no issue with crowd bumps and people going to seeing games semi-casually. I mean, it's if you like your football, you take it where you can. And Horsham looks like a good day out. So I've got no. And as Gabriel said, they're, for the league, I think their attendance is pretty high, isn't it?
Okay, but they did have, and we have to take this on board. There was some negative comments about the sort of refreshments and whatnot, because they did point out that there was only two bar staff 1,200 away fans, 2 bar staff, and 2 on the food hatch. And obviously, they're like, you're never going to get through who wants drinks and refreshments just before the game. People were saying that it should only rock up 5 minutes before kickoff. So hopefully the club sort of take that. Well, it's a tricky one, but yeah, if you know you're going to have 13 or 12, 1,300, you can't hopefully take arrangements. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, you can never tell.
The queue was massive. The pictures on the socials, so queue was massive. But I mean, Premier League clubs struggle with this, don't they, in terms of trying to get the right amount of staff on for what is essentially 20 minutes before and 20-minute little pocket at half time.
Yeah. And the other side is there'll be other games where we've stood there and we've got enough staff in and none of their fans come for a drink. So it's like, well, what happens then? But hopefully we'll get it right one day. But let's have a little look. Was in the bar earlier. I thought, right, here we go. We'll have a nice little bit of social media content with nice reactions to pulling out Arsenal, Man United, etc., etc. And it was a bit of it's damp squib, I think, would be enough. I mean, it's not a horrible draw, but how was your thoughts on the draw, Gabriel? I know you mentioned it's a new game, a new ground for you, but how are you feeling about the draw in general?
As I said also on the conversation on the podcast group, I was absolutely convinced that we will get a Premier League team after 2 draws in the AFL Cup in September, in which we hoped for a Premier League team and we didn't get it, and we got League One opposition. I was absolutely convinced that our luck will change this time. So it was a shock. It was a shock for me, and for me, it's not the ideal draw, because the chances, I don't know, to lose are quite big. And we don't have a big name either. So not happy at all with the draw.
Yeah, it's not one of those games where if it was one of the big clubs, you'd have a sellout and a load of money, and then you're like, okay, well, we're going to lose, but at least we've got a payday.
Exactly.
Whereas this is, we're likely to lose, but we won't have the payday. I mean, their fans are already saying, right, this has got £10 a ticket screaming all over it. But Paul, what did you think on it?
Yeah, that's a good point, Mike. And it was a terrible draw. I know, for the reasons you've already mentioned, and Championship side away is that's no good to us for many reasons, is it? As soon as that came out of the hat, I'd forgotten about it already. Do we want to get through? Particularly, I mean, fixture congestion. You can see that those league games will then start. We'll have to start playing league games midweek, having 2 games a week in the league. Obviously, I don't wish a loss on us, but I won't be too concerned if we do lose it and we can concentrate on the league, as they say.
Well, there are pluses. It's a new ground for a lot of people, so there will be a bit of interest there. They're obviously in the Championship. They're lower at the Championship, although I think they've got some good home form, they were saying. And probably the most important thing is Mark Bravery has said that there is 16 pubs in the Good Beer Guide in the nearby area. So that's a significant reason for the trip. I'm sure the sports club will be doing coaches. There's trains already been booked and all sorts of things, because people can be fairly confident this isn't going to be a TV one. It was so nearly Coventry. If it had been Coventry, I think it would have been on the TV, absolutely. But there were so many around us. But it is what it is, and I'm sure they're as delighted with the draws as we are. But before then, obviously, that's in January, so we don't need to worry about that for a while. We have got Harrogate at the weekend. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I don't think they've beaten us at all. So let's not take that as an absolute. But Gabriel, what are your thoughts on the Harrogate match? How do we? How can we win now? I mean, are we going to stick with our 1-6-3 formation, or do you think we'll have some players back by the weekend?
I hope we will have players back. At least we would find a right back, as I said before. I'm okay with having Topi and Wesson, but I at least one, the right back, to be back.
Tope can play on the right as well. I'm just going to put that
Okay.
out there. He
Yeah.
he can play on the right as well.
One defender then. Just one defender back. I remember 3 wins. We won twice in the first season. I remember we won maybe 2-0 in the second season at home. I don't know what we did in the second season at them. Maybe a draw.
I can't actually remember. I heard someone say that they've not beaten us, but I've never actually fact check things. I just repeat them and hope for the best.
So they're a good match for us, and we hope to keep winning. We need this win, and I hope that the confidence built up with the Horsham game will continue, and we'll start winning. But because drawing on the long run is not enough, we will still lose game probably against the top teams. So we need wins, not draws. Your mic is off. It shows that your mic is off.
You're off.
Yep, it was. Thank you. I was coughing and I forgot to put it back on. Paul, what do you think of the game? How do you see it going?
It's crucial, isn't it? Especially looking at the fixtures coming up. So, we need 3 points. And Harrogate, out of the next 6, feels like the one where we've got the best chance. After that, we've got Stockport away. We've got Mansfield home. We've got the Thameslink derby. Gillingham away. They're in the top 7. And then we've got Newport home. That's quite a list from now until January the 1st, against the backdrop of that injury list as well. So it does feel like this is an important one to get 3 points out of. And they've had some mixed form, haven't they? So I think, they're there for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we're unbeaten in November. So in the league. So hopefully, we'll start turning some of the home draws into wins. I mean, it is getting to that stage of, yes, we are starting to need to pick up those points and other results to us favours, but it's only 2 or 3 results go our way, and suddenly it'll be a very different complexion on it. Maybe by the next round of the cup, we'll have completely different conversations. But we're going to move to the predictions. So just again, Paul, you are not bound to this prediction yet. You can wait till later in the week because I know you're well ahead at the moment with all sorts of stewards' inquiries going on to scoring and whatnot. But I'll start with you. What's your prediction a week out? What's your prediction for the game?
I'd definitely like to see what team we're going to put out, but at the moment, I'd see us grinding out a 1-0.
A 1-0, okay. Gabriel, what do you think?
So I wasn't sure what to choose between 1-0 and 2-1. So if Paul said 1-0, I will say 2-1.
Okay, well, I'm going to go a little bit more confident. I'll go 2-0. Code's on the screen. Obviously, anyone watching can see that already, so that's always pointless in saying it. But join in the prediction game. Paul is ahead, but he can, I think, be caught still. Just about, I think. But it's a bit of fun. No one's putting any money on it, don't worry. Yes, it's not much more we can really say. We've kind of flogged it together for the FA Cup match. We look forward to next round of the cup. Hopefully everyone make a trip to Plymouth. I don't know, it's a long day, so I'm not sure. But we are going to wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. You can probably hear my throat's a little bit scratchy, so someone who talks for a hobby and a job, it's probably not a good idea to straighten it out. As always, we really appreciate your feedback and your ear attention. So, don't worry.
Nice.
Follow, like, share Sutton Podcast on all the social medias. Don't forget to subscribe on your preferred platforms. Next time we will be with Chris, who's actually got a foot in both camps of the FA Cup because he's a Plymouth supporter as well. So I'm sure we'll mention that to him as well. And Joe, hope you've enjoyed listening. Thank you to Paul. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you to Lucky Sergeant, our sponsors. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Sutton Podcast. Take care and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. United! 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 United!